Hi. Hello. How you all doing? I think I've just knocked the camera. Literally, whilst walking around the room, I managed to somehow trip over the camera twice. Bear with me a second. I'm going to try and move this. Oh, there we go. At least I didn't knock it on the floor like last time. Okay. Oh, there we go. Much better. Right. Computer, coffee, sparkling water. Phone is over there. Do not disturb is on. Right. And breathe. Hello. How is everyone doing? Quinton, hello. These streams are a bit too late for me now that you've switched to summertime in the UK. Oh, no. What time is it where you are, Quinton? MacBook issues, yeah. I came in here probably about 15 minutes ago to get set up, and I realized that literally the other day I completely took the studio apart. Well, not took it apart, but I was messing around with cameras and lightings. I can't even speak today. Lighting, and I literally like turned the stream setup on, ready to go, and like the exposure was just, all the settings were off, the exposure was off, everything, and it was just like, oh, okay, right. Let's try and quickly set this up in 15 minutes. No stress, no stress. Oh, look, Popinda has decided to grace us with her presence. Oh, hello, Rebecca. I see you're a member. Thank you very much for supporting me. I really do appreciate it. Dilshan, hello. Dilshan, early crew. Would you mind showing where else you share your work? I'd love to see more. Ooh, yes. Where do you share your work? Dilshan, aka MaxArt. I'd love to see more of your work. I love it. Photoshop work. Actually, no, not just Photoshop work. Dilshan does a lot of different types of design. We've got the Photoshop stuff. We've got the branding stuff. Yeah, if it is possible to share a link in the stream, definitely check out their work. It's fantastic. Poppy says, have you left the camera lens on? No, I did bump into the camera twice, but that is the kind of thing I would do. Right, hang on. Let's move me down a little bit. There we go. It's just a little bit chesty for me. We don't need to see up here, do we? There we go. I want to just kind of hide in the corner. There we go. Nice and snug. Much better. Hello, welcome, Dansky. Thank you, Sema. Yeah, it was a heart attack. Yeah. If you see the camera just suddenly kind of, the camera view just tip down, it's fallen over. Andrea says, excited. Excellent. Me too. What I'm going to do is I've gone through and I've rounded up a whole bunch of designs. Today is the last round of this batch, if you like. I'm going to try and do something a bit more kind of quick fire. So we've got, what's that, like nearly 20 designs. So I'm going to kind of rattle through them and, yeah, just see where we get to. And then I must remember to do this. At the end, what I'll do is I'll make a new, in fact, no, I'll do it now. Hang on, let's do it now. I'm just going to make a new Dropbox thing, and then we can do submissions. We'll open them up today for the next round of design review. Right. Let me do this. How do I do this? Ooh, has Dropbox changed their UI? Hello, I'm liking that. Right. Okay, let me go and create a file request. Zoop. Let's get this opened up now, because I know as we go through the stream, people are going to say, how do I submit my work? So let's get that link. Let's get that link done now. What's the date today? It's the 14th of November. My birthday in 4 days on the 18th. Just going to put it out there. 36 or 37? I got no, I'm already 36. I think I'm going to be 37. I can't remember. I legit forgot my age the other week, and I had to ask Chat GPT and Google my age, and I got 2 different results, which was interesting. So there was all manner of confusion about how old I actually was. And I was actually quite excited and very joyful when I learned that I was not 37. I am, in fact, 38. I felt like I'd gained an entire year, when in actual fact, I'm just an idiot. But, I mean, who forgets their own age? But Okay, right. 14th of November. All right, bear with me, guys. Let's just get this set up. Dansky design review. Let's create the folder. Make sure I actually put this in the right place, otherwise that will cause all kinds of chaos. There we go, the 14th. Choose the folder. Okay. Hopefully I've done that correct. We'll find out in a minute. Share a link. Copy. Right. Okay. Design review is officially open. There's the link. Unless I've done it wrong, in which case files are going to go to a random location on my computer. I'm writing my Christmas cards while listening to a beautiful voice. Oh, that's tender, that is. That's tender, Pops. Thank you. First video of the morning. Let's go. Nice. Good morning. Submissions are open. Yes, they're open right now. There's the link. Hello from Pakistan. Hello, Fatima. Welcome. Graciela, hello. Good morning. You sound like Bob Ross, just going to hide a little Dansky here in the corner. That's very kind of you, Kai. This time I took my coffee with me and it was raining. Oh, no. You got to cover the little hole at the top. You don't want to get rainwater in your coffee. Ugh. Can you provide all the previous reviewed design episodes? Yes, they're on the channel. If you go onto my channel and go under playlist, there is one for design review. Oh, thank you, Doctor Who Design, for the €3. Thank you very much. And is that a chicken or a pear? There's like a little emoji. Can everyone else see that? Like a little green emoji. I can't see if that's a chicken or a pear. Right, we're going to do a poll. Chicken or pear? Because I got no idea. Let's see what other people think. My eyesight's my strong hand. My eyesight's clearly not good. Fellow November birthday. Happy early birthday. Thank you. Just to get astrological for a second, Anthony, what's your star sign? Are you a Scorpio or you're a Libra? Or whatever the other one is. What's the other one? Sagittarius? Saggy. Poppy says, are you sure you're 37? Well, I hope so. Mentally, he's barely 12. No, Jassy, that's pretty on point. I have the maturity of a child. Rebecca says, I told someone I was 3 years older than I actually am. I genuinely thought I was much older. Wow, you added 3 years. How did that happen? I hate filling in my age, endless scrolling. It's a chick pear. Nice. I like it. I see what you did there. Very clever. Oh wow. Okay, so I'm not an idiot. This is a pretty almost pretty even split. My first instinct was pear, and then I thought green chicken. That's a bit weird. It has a leaf on its head. It must be a pear. Scorpio. Nice. Moosh Attack, welcome. I gave up on pears as a better choice, as a vegan-friendly choice. Yeah, it'd have to be a vegan pear. You can't really get a vegan chicken, can you? Although, well, technically, chickens are vegan, aren't they? Anyway, right, design review. Let's get some. Oh, someone submitted some work already. God, keen. Right, okay. Let's whip up our first one. Let's get this useful but kind of annoying contextual taskbar out the way. Okay, this is by Ahmed Hassan. We have a logo. Elite Engineering Services. Right, okay. First impressions, yes. Let's have a look what we got over here. Concept. Oh, okay, so we've got a breakdown. Logo concept. The pillar symbol, which is an Anna, ancient architectural element of temples, and also represents the elite people of the society, combined with the letter E, which is the first letter of the name of our company. We selected the bottom pillar, I told you I can't speak. We selected the bottom section of the pillar to show that our company is the base of any project we execute, and we'll take it from start to the top. Right, okay. So we've got the pillar. I'm getting that. The elite will start to go on the letter E, which is the first letter of our company name. Right. Is it just me, or am I not seeing the E? Like I can see like a vertical E. If I kind of, tilt my head to the side. Subtle. I once saw a chicken eating another chicken. Why do I not believe you, Poppy? I tell everyone I'm the least Scorpio ever because no one can believe it. Sometimes chicken are fed insects, so not strictly vegan. Nice. Fun facts with Quinton. That sounds awful, Popender. Yeah. Still scarred from it. I mean, how would you end up seeing a chicken eating a chicken? That's kind of messed up. What kinds of design files can we send in? Fantastic question. Mostly we do kind of Illustrator and Photoshop stuff. So PND. God, Jesus, Dan, come on. Focus, speak clearly. PSD, JPEGs, PNGs, they're good as well. Illustrator files, so .ai, PDFs. That's kind of what we usually do here. Most Adobe file types I can open up. So just make sure if you do submit your work that you convert all of your fonts into outlines in Illustrator, just so when I don't open up your original files, I get sort of font issues popping up. Now I have to go and see my family and have dinner. It's just about 7:30 now. Oh, well, have a lovely dinner, Quinton. Thank you for stopping by anyway. I really do appreciate it. I'll watch the replay in the morning. Amazing. Oh, guys. What have you started, Poppy? The chat's getting weird now. Quick. Let's just move on to design stuff. Okay, E, is anyone... Instead of chickens and dogs, let's focus on the E. The E, Elite Engineering Services. So, can anyone else see the E? I'm guessing it's that kind of E on the side. I do like it. I think as a mark, it's pretty clean and simple. Yeah, symmetrical. Spacing seems tight and consistent. For this, it should absolutely be symmetrical because there's just no reason why it wouldn't be the type of design it is. So, full marks for attention to detail. Yeah, I think generally I do like it. Minor nitpick. I'd probably line that S up with the bottom part of the E, because it feels here that it's kind of, I know technically it's kind of aligned there, but it sort of feels like it's overshooting a bit, whereas this left side is sort of pretty tight to that bottom part. So that's the kind of thing that's more about optical alignment rather than kind of lining up with the align tools. I think in terms of font, it does feel suitable. And it's a nice mixture as well, because it's, what was it to do with? ancient architectural element of temples. So it's nice that we've got this serif font as well, which does kind of it gives it like a bit of a more, not vintage, but like an older, more an aged aesthetic, because serif was predominantly used like a lot further back in history. Whereas these kind of more modern sans serif typefaces are like, it does look very modern. So when we're talking about kind of engineering and with more modern processes, it, for me, it feels like a fusion of the kind of the old, or ancient in this case, architecture, and then the new. So I do quite like this font pairing. Yeah, I do like it actually. Blue is quite a, at least from my experience in design, blue is quite a common color for construction, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I do like this actually. Both colors are quite dark as well, and they kind of, they complement each other quite nicely, really. It's like a kind of sort of goldy coffee color. And the spacing's good as well. The spacing between the logo type and the tagline is good, not too far apart, not too tight, and the spacing between the mark as well looks really good. And this mark, this whole thing works in one single color print, which is great if you want to do black only, for example. And you could also kind of pair these side by side as well, so they're stacked here. But yeah, this looks really good. I like it actually. I really do like this. I think the E is kind of like the sideways E. I mean, if I were to judge that as an E, I would say no, not really. But I think it's, do you know what I mean? It's like a subtlety in there. It doesn't need to be explicitly obvious. I think this is just like a really, yeah, it's a good mark. I like it. I do like it. Excellent. This was a chicken and not a pear. Fantastic. I'm glad we had some clarity on that. Sent you a file. Excellent. Ashraful, thank you. Hey, may I know how to make the word to be gradient? Yes, absolutely. Is that in Illustrator or Photoshop? Zach, welcome. Andrea, I don't like the font. Why don't you like it? Which font are we talking about here? The Elite or the Engineering Services? And what is it you don't like about the font? Switch the colors. Yeah, what would you go for? I like how the presentation is using the mark as a watermark and the colors to frame it all. Yeah, this is quite a commonly done thing actually with a lot of graphic design stuff. If you have like a mark like this, you can use this to create patterns or subtle watermarks, and it's just a way you can add kind of visual interest. I used to do this quite a lot when I did a lot of business card stuff earlier in my career, and if you didn't have anything to work with beyond a logo and the job title and contact information, you could try and use the watermark or the logo mark to turn that into like a watermark, or you could make a pattern from it, or even take elements from the logo. So in this case, for example, I could take these very prominent kind of rounded lines and I could, I don't know, construct that into like a cross-hatched style pattern, for example. And I could interlink them in a really interesting way to kind of reflect the architectural nature of this particular business. That's just one thing off the top of my head you could do. And so you're taking those elements and turning them into something visually interesting, rather than just kind of, you know, having to rely on, I don't know, stock assets or anything. You're kind of working with what you've got. And if you were to do that actually and make that kind of pattern, you could use these two colors, and I think it would look very kind of smart as a pattern actually. Engineering Services and the logo to be gold. Okay, so you would ditch the blue and just go all with one color. I mean, I think that would work. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of like, if you said to me kind of gold, all gold or gold and blue, yeah, it's difficult. I think by having, it's a difficult one. I think you could sort of put the argument forward that by having these two colors that I think complement each other quite well, you could say that that's a more distinctive identity versus one color. But then, some brands do just use one color, and their brand identity and how they're visually represented does just fine. But I've sent you a file, but I'm new in graphic design, so I don't know if it's good or not. Wow, this is a great place to start. Yeah, as always, any feedback I provide is coming from a place of love. All I want to do is kind of help people learn more. So, if I say that I don't like something, honestly, don't take it personally. It's just me sharing my honest experience with you, and me being honest is the best way that I can help. How do I send my file? There is a link. Where's the link gone? Hang on. Copy link. I'll post a link here now, and then I'll do it again at the end. The engineering service is to be a different font. Yeah, I suppose I could see that. I suppose I can see that. You could pick a font that, yeah, perhaps is maybe a little bit chunkier. I actually do like the Elite one. I really do like that. I think that works for what this is. And I think these particular letter forms with this logo look quite nice. Sometimes you get characters that look a bit weird. These actually look really nice. So that's the hill I'm going to die on, so to speak, is I really do like the word Elite and the way that is kind of presented as a whole. But yeah, engineering services, yeah, you could play around with a few different ones there. And of course, you could try uppercase and lowercase. I don't know. I think uppercase is good in this instance. Oh, just switch the gold and the blue. Okay, that's interesting. I don't think I can do that, can I? No, there we go. We've got an alternative one. What do you reckon? Blue and peach. I also like the Elite font. Okay, yeah. No, it seems like a very suitable typeface, but yeah, it's a good logo. It ticks a lot of boxes. Yeah. Cool. Right, let's move on to something else because it's 3:30 already. How is it 3:30? Come on, Dan. You're going to have to step this up, mate. Right. I did say this is going to be quick fire, so I love doing this, so I get stuck into it. Right. Raccoon Advertising and Media Agency. Initial impressions. This is kind of cute and slightly menacing as well. I think the shape of the eye does give it a slightly more menacing aesthetic. And is that what a raccoon's tail is like? Looks more like a rat's tail. Let me just remember what a raccoon looks like. I've got the raccoon face in my head, but I actually don't know. Their tail is fluffy. They have a fluffy tail that's kind of rounded at the end. So they got the stripes in there, but they don't have the point. So that tail should be more raccoon-like. So maybe a bit more curved around the edges. Slightly adjust the eye shape so it looks less sinister, I think. Like if this was like a mascot for a sports team, I think you might get away with that kind of expression and these sorts of angles. A lot of sports team logos, they look pretty badass like that. But for an advertising agency, I don't know. It's just something that stands out to me. I like it contained within the triangle. It does feel kind of very, very relevant to today with, a lot of advertising being digital, being in video format, play button, that kind of thing. Personally, I get rid of the tail, actually. I would just remove the tail. I would remove the tail and maybe tweak the design of the raccoon. The tail does kind of give it a bit of an odd shape. I've never been a fan of having the logo mark on the right-hand side. it just, for me, it's one of those things that I don't think I've ever seen a logo. Maybe I have, but I can't recall a logo that's done that effectively in a way that I like. But you can see here, like with the tail, like underneath the triangle, it does create this weird like hierarchy of different shapes. You know, we've got the triangle, but then we've got this weird thing here. So, and it creates this weird kind of negative space that just doesn't sort of fit neatly. You can't really fit this neatly against the word raccoon. If you bring it down, the bottom of the tail is going to be too close. But if you don't bring it down, then you just sort of get this weird space. So personally, I would get rid of the tail or bring the tail somehow up. That looks like a sausage, but you know, just pretend that is a raccoon's tail. There we go. Let's have some stripes. It's either a stripy raccoon's tail or a stripy sausage. You decide. So I'm going to go with stripy sausage. So demonetized. Right. Yeah, so I like the color. Purple feels very, very kind of slick. I like it's quite pixelated with the visual I'm looking at, but I can imagine it looks very clean and could be very kind of geometric, just very kind of nice curves and smooth lines. I like the purple and the grey color. It's got like a hint of like green in it. Yeah, sort of like a slightly off grey, ever so slightly. And I do like that. It's a really nice color combination. It looks classy and it looks professional. Font. Oh, I mean, this is a tough one. I do love a good thin font like that. I do love that. It's just, oh, should it be slightly thicker? How's that going to look on a website at the top? Just if you did have the tagline. That's just my only thing to consider is it going to work at all sizes, or will that kind of become too thin? If you did get rid of the tail, the triangle would kind of neatly sort of tuck in. There's my brush tool. Tuck in on the side there. And it works as a single color print, which is nice. We've got a few different colorways here as well. So, of course, like a lot of single color logos like this one, or this main part here, you know, if you can print it in one color, it's going to tick a lot of boxes. The design kind of works in reverse here as well. But yeah, what do you think about the whole kind of logo on the right thing? I don't know if there's any kind of specific rules around that. Don't really like that word, rules. Ugh, rules and design, do they mix? Don't know. Rules are made to be broken. It's not like a raccoon, it's more similar to a possum. Possums. Possum. I'm going to go with possum. I read that as opossum. Definitely remove the tail. Yeah. I think they meant to create an R with the tail. Yeah. Okay, right. I didn't see that, and I don't think it works. I would get rid of the tail. Or rework the tail into that kind of triangular shape, if you could do that in a clever way, I think. It's always a nice little touch if you can. Like on the last design we looked at, it had that E in there, but it wasn't like the logo was built around being able to see that E within the architecture. It's just like a little kind of nice subtle nod. Even if no one sees it, you know, it's like a customer or a consumer sees it, it's a nice little kind of nod. But I think here, by adding it, actually, I don't think it really reflects a raccoon's tail, and it does cause problems in terms of alignment as well. I mean, it's just a nightmare to align to. Whereas the triangle on its own, that would be fine. Are they including the tail to try and make it look like an uppercase R? Yeah, quite possibly. That's what Raz said. And again, switching colors. Purple and grey, maybe orange. I think, to be honest, for an agency, you could probably switch in quite a few colors with the grey. You could do probably quite a lot. You could make it darker and go more towards black instead of a grey. You could pick a punchy orange. There's quite a few different colors. I mean, agencies, whenever I've seen kind of agency logos, they come in all different colors. I think it's more about the presentation of the logo and your brand as an agency as a whole. But you can actually get away with using quite a few different colors. Orange is a very common one. I've seen, I used to work with a brand and they used yellow to very great effect in their logo and their branding. And it was a really nice, delicious, bright, mustardy yellow. And it was always a pleasure looking through any kind of documents and things. But yeah, usually kind of, the sort of colors that are brighter, I think, represent a lot, at least a lot of agencies that that I've kind of seen these days. Anthony says, if you really wanted to keep the tail, find a place on the left of the logo, but I personally vote to remove it altogether. Yeah, so I think we're in the camp of removing the tail, aren't we? That is a very good point, though. That is a good point. I don't know how it would work with the raccoon's head up here and the tail coming just below his shoulder, but yeah, if you could figure out a way to get the tail kind of sort of looping. Oh, let's get me layer back. Looping round up there or something. Again, another wonky sausage. Actually, it looks more like a deflated balloon, but if you could do that, then yeah, I think you'd kind of circumvent that issue with the kind of shapes and the alignment. I like the reversed raccoon. It draws my eye to the face more, says Rebecca. Yeah, no, it does work. I think it does work, at least sort of the triangular bit. Howdy, Danskers. Welcome. Reese says, it unfortunately takes away. Needs to be more fluffy indeed if we're keeping the tail. Absolutely. That is another vote for fluffy tail for sure. But yeah, generally good. Just a bit of refinement, I think. This next one is in illustration, and this is by Zakir Hussain. I'm not predominantly an illustrator, but I did want to kind of, because people have submitted some really nice illustration, I had to kind of show it and go through it because, well, it would be rude not to. But yeah, I'll try and share some insight and just sort of share my honest opinions as a more of a designer than an illustrator. But first thing that stands out to me are the curves. The curves, maybe that's the style, but my brain is saying, please smooth these curves out a little bit. And I think here as well, kind of just making sure if these are meant to be highlights that, they should be smoother really, unless it's real kind of, I don't know, it's giving me sort of Picasso vibes a little bit. Unless it's really that style you're going for, smooth them out a little bit. And then obviously take the highlight should be consistent in terms of lighting. The highlight wouldn't bounce closer to the edge and then further away. And so it should kind of reflect a real highlight. If that's even a highlight or just some detail on the top of the mountain, I'm not entirely sure. I'd also remove the stroke as well. The black border on the edge, you've got to get rid of that. Because this site it's basically what it is. It's so small and so it doesn't look intentional. You know, if you made it thicker and you went for a very deliberate style with an illustrative style that deliberately has a thicker border, that's fine, that's cool. But because it's not, you can't really see it from this sort of distance as you're looking at it. When I zoom in, it just makes the edges look less clean. They don't look as crisp around the edge. So I think if you're going to go with a border, go with a border. Make it visibly clear there is a border. If you're not, just get rid of the border entirely. Whoa. Same with some of these lines, you know, border width. You can keep everything the same width. Whoa, what's this down here? Where are you off to, pixels? Yeah, you can keep the border the same width. Or you can taper it off, but here it's kind of very, very thin, tapering off to nothing, and it feels inconsistent in how that tapering behaves. So you can see here it's clean, and then over here it's kind of not. So, oh, I wish I had this as a vector. I could show you something really cool with this. For the birds as well, you can draw birds like this, but also I would use circles. I told you I really can't speak today. I've been getting up at 5 a.m. every morning. I'm reading this book called the 5 a.m. Club, and it's absolutely brilliant. It really is. But I've realized that at 5 a.m. in the morning, I actually struggle to even speak and hold a conversation. Like normally, if I go into a shop, I can hold a conversation just fine, but I actually find speaking quite tough at 5 a.m. But yeah, what you could do is instead of kind of drawing all this manually, you can just use the ellipse tools and, you know, just get an ellipse and, you know, pop it on the wonk like this, and then just cut away all this bit down here. And what you're left with is just that part of the ellipse. And that's just a way you can use basic shapes to get those smooth curves. Yeah, I get sometimes people go for a more illustrative style, and not everything needs to be perfectly clean and this and that. Yeah, so here it's kind of inconsistent. Like, I think that's, I know this is more illustration than design, but it's like if you're going to go for a clean, minimal logo, you've got to get those curves tight. It's got to look really kind of slick. Whereas with other types of logos, like I know that Reese did, what was the monkey one? Reese did, it's like the blue, what was that logo, Reese? It was like the blue monkey one, and it had a much more illustrative style, and it was less about all these kind of perfect clean curves and everything, and it just had like a really nice illustrative quality to it. And Blue Monkey Band, that was it. Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. And so I think, yeah, there's two different types of logos. You've got the sort of more clean, kind of simple, identifiable marks, and then you've got something that is more illustrative that could perhaps have more character. Or if it is like a monkey in that example, you know, you can bring more of that monkey or that animal's features through in a more illustrative way. So yeah, sometimes with the illustrative stuff, you kind of like, it's intended to be more illustrative. But here there are definitely a few things that I would kind of tweak. Even if you are going for that rough kind of, you know, imperfect style, there's definitely some stuff here, particularly with the strokes and some of the curves that could be improved. But I mean, you know, conceptually, you've got the sort of this silhouette in the foreground. It's darker and gradually gets lighter. Like, I like it. I think it just needs kind of tweaking. Big up the 5 a.m. Club. Woo, absolutely. Has anyone else read the book, The 5 a.m. Club? I'm like 2/3 of the way through. Exactly, Kai. Smooth slider. That's what I was thinking. I think I've got another one later on that I might be able to demo the smooth slider, but that would have been a perfect example to do it. I was doing some icons earlier on, and the smooth slider again just came to the rescue. Andrea says, smoothing needed. It's hurting my eyes. That's what I love about the I mean, you've got the smooth tool in Illustrator anyway, but the smooth slider is brilliant, and it does make it very, very easy. Even if you're not an illustrator and you're not skilled with a pen tablet, or even if you're using a trackpad, if you see me draw with a trackpad, it's awful. But you know, I'm getting better, I think. But even if I were to draw like a shape like this, actually, that's cheating. I've got my I've got my my smoothness cranked up. No, I'm a fraud. This is me drawing without the super smoothness. So you can see it's very, very highly imperfect. But actually, if I get the smooth slider, it makes it very easy to get nice curves, and you don't need, I mean, you know, graphics tablets and pen displays are great, but you can kind of get these smooth curves very easily with not a lot of skill. So if you are newer to Illustrator, this this feature is just an absolute win. It really is fantastic. Big fan, gushing over the smooth slider. Nice. You got to know the rules in order to break them. Nigel the monkey. That's it. Oh, that's yours. Wow. Oh, thank you for sending that in, Zach. So yeah, smooth slider. Smooth slider will help you get those curves looking super, super slick. Oh, that's very kind of you, Sema. Thank you. Right, next up. I'm going to have to speed up. It's nearly 4 o'clock. Oops. Oh, I've just opened Bridge. Hang on. Let's close that down. Again, another illustration. I've got no idea what any of this says, but I do like that font. That is really cool. And I like the illustration as well. You know, as I say, I'm not going to comment too much on the illustration because it's not what I do. But you can see here, like, this illustration has a very distinct style. So it uses strokes. It has these, you could say, inconsistent widths, but it's gone for that kind of that more hand-drawn but digital style. So the tapering of these strokes, see around the nose here, there's tapering where it gets thinner and thicker at different points, feels intentional. Same here for these kind of lines under the eyes. The stroke down here on the side of the cheek, it gets thicker and thinner, and it does feel intentional. I love these red kind of lines around the edge as well, these little highlights. They're really, really cool. And there's a nice use of gradients here as well. We've got this lovely kind of lovely glow on the puffing out of the chest there, and then it kind of goes through to this really kind of dark red, which I like. And they've used lighting here as well to add shadows and highlights in a few key places, which just gives that with the gradients gives the whole thing some depth. And you can see they've used kind of darker skin tones in various places again, just to add a bit more character, but also some shadows and highlights. And this one's an interesting one actually, because the stroke in quite a few places, like, it is very, very different. It's quite thick, very thin around the nails, non-existent here, but his cheek is like almost pointy, like that is almost like a triangular kind of cheek. And his eye bleeds into the background, but the whole thing, it feels intentional. It feels like very stylized. Do you know what I mean? And this is one thing I do find very interesting about illustration, how you can... Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of this on illustration stuff recently. When I was working on those ones from last week, I obviously researched lots and lots of other illustrations and different styles. And it's just so amazing how people can, I don't know, I guess, break the conventional rules of like the way you present different features of the face, and yeah, just like things like this. Like this hand being massive and this hand being tiny, and then his sort of pointy cheek, and I don't know, it's really clever how people can do that and create these very unique illustrative styles. Yeah, I really do like it. It's got a lot of character to it. I'm sure someone who's you know, illustrating day in, day out would point out other things. So I don't know if anyone here in the chat is an illustrator. So maybe there's things that you're noticing, you'll see here that I'm not. The stuff I kind of pay attention to more is some of the details for sure, but it's more about, with something like this, the composition as a whole. You know, I'm looking at, well, I would be looking at the words, but I don't know what language this is, so I'm not really much help there. But down here we have some English. I can read this just about. And yeah, that looks pretty decent. Nice big phone number, a bit about what we do. Subtle dividing line in between. I always love a subtle divider. If everything's just black all the time, it kind of, or like a really dark color, like it's fine. But if you just set back the divider so it's not prominent but visible enough to work as a separating device between the two elements, it allows that contact information in the text to stand out. And the divider isn't really like in your face, but it is there. You can like see it, you know? I like his face. He's so happy and excited. He is. He's got that kind of face. It's like, hey, you need Adobe apps? I got Adobe apps. Yeah, very, very happy chappy, this one. I forgot who mentioned the reflect tool a few sessions ago. Kai. That would have been Kai. Kai schooling me on the reflect tool. But I started using it now and it's a game changer. Kudos to that genius. Yeah, the reflect tool is yeah, I don't know if you're in the stream as well. It's just one of those ones that I don't use because I've got my old habit of just duplicate and then mirror it. But I did start using the reflect tool the other day and it was like, okay, I think Kai's got a point here. It is quite fast. Reflect tool in Illustrator is O on the keyboard. So if you've not used it before, it is very useful. Oh, the poster says you can study at a low cost / budget. Ah, that's good to know. What language is this? This is such a fun character illustration. Agreed. It's great, isn't it? They've just nailed the expression as well, but the colors as well. The color palette of like the sort of charcoal-y color, the skin tones, and the light and dark reds. I love the fact that this character has like a sort of 3 main kind of colors with obviously different tints, darkness, some are darker and lighter, but it's got like 3 clearly identifiable colors, which I love. Yeah, Reese says, I really like the style of this. Yeah. So the consensus is that this one gets a thumbs up. Oh, you saw it as well, Jatty, the bubble. Yes. Oh, I wasn't going to mention it. I wasn't going to say anything because I was going to let it go this time. But I was just thinking to myself just then. I was like, oh, could the curvature just please be the same width? Come on. That's the kind of thing that if it was me illustrating this, I would look at that and go, I probably, like, it doesn't ruin the design. It doesn't mess up the creative vision of the design or the artistic style. But just having that go along there, all it's going to do, and not like that, all it's going to do if that curve continues around, it's just going to make it look better. It's going to make the other part of the design, so the speech bubble, fit with the character. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I would kind of feel the same with this. You'd never ever see me do a curve like this. I would always try and keep that consistent width. Maybe that's because I'm not an illustrator, and maybe that's because I have a, maybe my design style is just a bit rigid. I don't know. I'm definitely a much more kind of structured and technical designer in terms of that type of design. But that's what I would do as someone who doesn't do an awful lot of illustration. You're all welcome. Thank you, Kai. I was doing it the same way as you, Dansky. When I saw you try it, I decided to jump on that train too. Yeah, if you're new to Illustrator, definitely use the reflect tool, O on the keyboard. It's a good train to be on. Train those good habits from the start. Oh, before we go any further, speaking of start, this is my full Adobe Illustrator masterclass. We got the segue in there. Did you like that, Reese? Was that a good one, or how would you rate that segue? This is my full Adobe Illustrator masterclass. It will teach you everything I know about Adobe Illustrator, and it does also teach the reflect tool. That's 17 years just compacted into like, I don't know, 5 to 6 hours of 100% gold segue. Nice. Glad you liked it. uh, that's everything that I've learned about Illustrator condensed down into literally about 5 to 6 hours. So if you're looking to get some more structured learning and fill in your gaps in the gaps in your knowledge, or you're just getting started in design and you want to just learn everything I know about Illustrator, then that course will do just that for you. And when you enroll in the course, you also get access to me, basically. So if you ever have a question or you get stuck or you just want to know something about design, you can literally send me a direct message and I'll be there to help. So yeah, it's not just a course. You can message me anytime and I will help. So yeah, that sounds good. Then there is the link. So am I credited in your class during the reflect tool? No, I did record this course before you bestowed your genius upon us, Kai. But if I go and make another course or do something else, or maybe in my next video, if I do ever use the reflect tool, I will I will have to credit you now. It's like paying you verbal royalties, isn't it? I'm about 15 years into Illustrator, but there are so many little tools I don't use or look into. I learn a lot of little things from your live streams. Ah, awesome. Yeah, the thing I love about the course that I've created is that I spent just so many years following tutorials, and they're great. Tutorials are great because they're free, but in terms of learning efficiently, they're awful because you learn loads of random things. And, I found that I got like over a decade into my career and I was still learning some of the basic stuff that's literally taught in the first module of the course. And I was like, how did I not learn these basics? And it's because just following those random tutorials, you do just sort of almost cherry pick bits of knowledge. But yeah, there's just so many things that you kind of would otherwise miss. So that's why I always recommend, if it's my course, another course, like just take a structured something so you can learn in an order that makes sense. The fundamental stuff first, and then gradually kind of build on your skills and work up to the more advanced stuff and the features that are a lot more complicated, like the mesh tool. The mesh tool is pretty tough to use when you're first getting started. So just cover off the foundational stuff first, so you've got a solid understanding, and then kind of build on that. Save the verbal credit. I'll take cash instead. Here's my PayPal. Okay, right. Yeah, so good illustration, fun, lots of character. I think we all love the happy chappy there. Right. What have we got now? Okay. Bangalore mobiles. Display spot service available. That font looks like compactor, italic or something similar, which is a nice font. A special discount up to 50%, up to 20% to 50%. Okay, so first off, that's really confusing. I don't know if how this is presented is common in Bangalore, for example. My cultural experience of the world in terms of design is probably more limited to the Western world, if I'm honest. Like I know in some companies they put the currency sign after, in some countries, sorry, they put the currency sign after the actual value. So it's those kind of little nuances that I'm probably not aware of. I would just have 1% personally. Otherwise, it's making me think. It's too many numbers. Just tell me what I'm saving. Give me a number. So you'd say up to 50% off, and you don't need the 20 then, because up to 50 could be anything. And 50% off looks more attractive than 20% off. So just show that one and get rid of the 20. Got a classic starburst here, which I like. If you want to know how to create a starburst shape, I got to show you. It's It's really easy. What you do is you go and grab the star tool in Adobe Illustrator, and you can click anywhere, but that's no fun. Click and drag like this, and then use the up and down arrow keys to add more points. And then what you can also do is hold down, is it Alt or Option, to kind of create something a bit more like this. Or you can hold down Command or Control, and you can adjust the radius like this. So you can go really pointy like a sunburst. Woohoo! Or you can go really short. And doing this on canvas rather than in that dialog box, it's just so much easier for me to kind of quickly dial in exactly what I want. And I'm going to hold Shift as well, so I don't kind of just freely rotate. So I can just very quickly use that to kind of create a starburst, make it a bit longer, drop the number of points down, maybe bring it back in. There we go. And I can create these different types of starbursts very quickly and easily versus clicking it and then typing values, and I can't really see what I'm doing. Great if you want to kind of put in, oh, I want 30 points exactly. You get that precision, but you know, for a lot of things like this kind of starburst, it's easier to just kind of create it that way. All brands available, lots and lots of phones. These phones are quite small down here, and I'm not entirely sure what this graphic would be for. I don't know. I could imagine, I mean, I guess this could be like an add-in, a printed material. I'm guessing, and this is purely a guess, that this would actually be some kind of signage. So this might be a graphic outside a store, or it might be like an exhibition kind of stand, something like that. Either freestanding or on a building of some kind. So these do look quite small, but actually if they're printed like massive on an exhibition display, then it's not too bad. Yeah. I mean, if that's the logo, hey, if that's the logo, that's the logo. But what do I think? What do I think? I like how organized this bottom section is. This seems very kind of structured. You've got 3 on the bottom, 2 on the top, big one on the side. It feels very kind of tightly, neatly packaged together. You got a bit of kind of staggering on this text, all brands, and then you stagger it forward, available. This isn't staggered. This is all left aligned. Personally, I would probably go with one or the other. We've got plenty of space to work with, so I would probably either keep that left aligned as well, or if you wanted to have the staggering on the bottom, I'd probably stagger this text as well, just so there's kind of like some sort of visual consistency. You could have them different. It's not the end of the world, but it's like, if there isn't really a good reason as to why they should be, for something that's got such a small amount of information on, you know, you could maybe just tighten that up a little bit more. For example, I probably wouldn't have one centered and one left aligned. It would be weird. For this kind of graphic, me personally, I would typically go with one alignment to the left or central, just because there isn't an awful lot of information. So the information and the text that there is, I'm going to be looking at it, and I want it to kind of feel balanced and consistent. This is the exact type of design that I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while looking at it as well. I can tell you some things that I probably don't like about it. Is I've mentioned the 20% already. I don't mind the starburst. I think it, you know, it can work. It's not something I use an awful lot, but it is an effective way at grabbing someone's attention, especially when there's a lot of contrast between the red and the white. And that red is contrasting against everything behind it. So it does work. The angle might be a bit steep. So you could make the angle a little less steep. And this thing here in the background, there's like this kind of yellow and orange thing. It's an interesting way of adding a divide. But the problem is, because there's these graphics and phone things and everything here, I can't really kind of see the shape of it. So it feels a bit weird that it kind of curves up there. I would expect it to kind of continue on here. So it does look a bit odd having that. Probably because so much of it's covered up. Does that make sense? Like, it makes it difficult for me to kind of get a sense of the actual form of this shape. Whereas this kind of sort of two-tone, tapered off, getting wider thing I would normally love, but I would expect the yellow one to kind of not like that. God, my hand on this trackpad's awful. I'd expect the yellow to kind of taper off like that. Not taper off, sorry. Whatever the opposite of taper off is, get wider. I wouldn't expect it to curve up. The curve feels weird to me. Something else that stands out is the angles of these phones don't match up. This phone is shot from a low angle looking up. This phone is shot from a top-down angle. It feels like this phone wants to be the shadow of this one. What I would do is pick two other photos, and the photos need to work together. So you could have the phone facing front on, one looking nice, one cracked. You could have them kind of like that and then split them out. Kind of like a couple of like playing cards, you know, if you were to kind of do that with the cards and they would separate, you could have one. Basically, you want to have some kind of comparison between smashed up, cracked screen, which is bad. Ooh, nice new screen, which is good. But those two images, they need to work like well together, and absolutely they need to be shot at the same angle, because otherwise they look impossible. And then they're on top of this color as well, and it's kind of a weird mesh of lots of different lines and colors and angles, and it just doesn't really kind of match up. I think I think for a lot of people they wouldn't, you know, this isn't the end of the world. Like I say, I think this graphic would do most of what it needs to do. It needs to communicate that this service is available that can repair your screen, and we have other phones, and it does that, but it's just kind of tightening up those details to make this a higher quality design. Because I think there's a lot of details and nuances in design that people wouldn't consciously notice. They wouldn't notice, and if you asked them, they wouldn't be able to point it out. But even like symmetry, they'll notice it on a subconscious level. Those little details they might pick up on it. They might like something or not like something, and they won't necessarily know why or be able to articulate why, but it's just something feels off. And so I think that's where the little kind of details and those design nuances do become especially important. There are obvious flaws in the design that are very glaring, says Sema. Yeah, as long as, I mean, the image quality would need to be amazing. Obviously, I'm looking at this on screen, and I don't know what it's for. If it was going to be used for a sign, you'd need to have, yeah, really, really high res imagery for it to look good. But yeah, cool. Right, let's move on to the next one. 4:10. How is it 4:10? I don't think it's possible for me to go fast, actually, is it? I just waffle on too much. It's just because I have fun. I love doing this. I love design. And I love talking about design. Right, I'm not going to spend too long on this because it's just lovely. Another illustration. You can see what I mean, though. This one doesn't have any border. It knows exactly what style it's going for. It's kind of very clean and simple, but it does, it doesn't, not everything's geometric. We do have some more organic shapes in there like this, which I think is intended to be the kind of smoke coming from the wheels. And I think it works. The colors look really nice together. They're kind of sort of not too saturated. They're kind of saturated. If you ever want these colors, by the way, you drag all the way to the right on the color picker, you get lots of saturation. If you want to kind of just set them back a little bit, just bring it to the left a little bit like this. So you can kind of go from, I mean, I do this all the time. If you want really saturated colors, that's fine. But if you kind of, you know, rather than just using that sort of red, sometimes just bringing it back a little bit can just make it a tiny bit more subtle. But yeah, these are really nice colors in here. And we've got that sparkle shape as well. If you'd like to know how to create a sparkle, there's a few different ways actually. One way is to create a circle and go to distort and transform, pucker and bloat, and bring that in. And then once you've finished and you're very happy with it, go to expand appearance, and then your path will kind of match as well. So there we go. Quick sparkle tip. But yeah, really cute, really nice style. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Again, it's another little thing like, could that curve, could it match the wheel arch? Would that be a problem? That's what I would do. These things just stick out to me, rightly or wrongly. I don't know if that bugs anyone else, but those little things, they do just stick out. Oh, and like this, I've just noticed it. The wheel arch is like not, like the wheel is like perfectly oval. The wheel arch kind of leans more to the left. That's the kind of thing that if I did an illustration, I just wouldn't do that. It'd really bug me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just one of those things that always stands out to me, and that I just wouldn't do that in my work. The minibus is the winner. You like that, Andrea? You like the minibus? Dilshan, submissions are open now. I will throw the link in the chat. I'll post it on the channel later as well. Submissions are open. Na 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 na. Right. Okay. Let's pick up the pace down. What do we got next? PDF. I can open this. Ooh, food. Good. Okay, chat Kara choice now open. Masoodpur, New Delhi. Okay, first of all, the background looks very, very low res. I'm not sure if that's like that could be the PDF was exported with a preset that's kind of low quality for file size, but just make sure that the background is high res because it's come through really pixelated. Same with the food. The food graphics are all quite pixelated. I'm going to assume that this was exported as a lower res PDF. So I'm going to assume that these food graphics are higher quality because that background is like crazy low res. So I'm guessing it's not meant to be like that. If they are high quality, food pictures look really good. Nice contrast. This gets a little bit messy for me here. Like, this is the logo, Chatkara Choice, if that's how you say it. I'm not a crazy fan of the logo. This word here looks beautifully written, but as a logo, I'm not a massive fan of that. But I'm going to kind of focus on this design as a whole a bit more. This bit here, this feels quite messy. So we've got the now open and the at. Oh, Acrobat, what are you doing? Yeah, not a fan of this in the corner. I'm not sure what that's meant to be, but I'm not a massive fan of it. They sort of started this style here where you could kind of do that sort of folded, almost like, origami, where you can have the folding effect and you can make all of these different containers, these boxes, look like they fold into one another. They've started it here and not continued it, so I would either get rid of that or continue it round. So you could have it on the other side as well and then make it look like it wraps round this one. Yeah, so I would do something with that so it's consistent. I don't like the icon popping out and the way it's hidden. It just feels weird. The at icon feels weird as well because the black container is way too small and tight. The angle doesn't match everything else. Everything else is on an angle, but then you've got this kind of, it kind of feels like this was a JPEG of an at that was too tightly cropped and then plonked in. Yeah, I think even if you tweak the angle, the fact the black box is just so, it feels a bit out of place, but so tightly cropped as well. And I think even if you were to kind of take the at and move it up here on the end and match the angle, that would work better, I think. What do we got here? This kind of address down here should be central. So it's too far up at the moment, too close to the top of the box. The now open and the Masood per text, they're both ever so slightly to the right. They should be bang on in the center of those containers. So they both need shifting, probably just a few pixels to the left. Yeah, positioning down here is not too bad. The right-hand side is higher, so that the phone number there is higher than the text on the left. They should 100% be on the same level. They absolutely should. Yeah, you can see the phone number here is closer to the top than the bottom. And yeah, this looks like a clip art graphic here. I would drop in a higher quality graphic or even an icon representing that sort of delivery scooter kind of thing. You don't need the double dash line at all. It's adding more complexity and it's making everything just feel too tight. So the dash line around the edge is kind of a nice stylistic touch, but I would go with one dash line, preferably the thicker one, make it a bit bigger just so everything has a little bit more breathing space. As far as the free home delivery text goes, you've got your F and your D lining up on the left side. You've got the E and the Y lined up on the right. Spacing between those lines is really good, so I do like that, but I think it just needs a better graphic here, higher quality, cleaner perhaps, and one dash line that's just a bit more kind of expanded out so it's not so tight. Okay, right, but yeah, apart from everything I just mentioned, it's mostly really, that graphic's a pretty easy fix. It's mostly this bit here. I think it's kind of taking out all these unnecessary shapes and icons that don't need to be there. Get rid of this, make that style a bit more consistent, fix the at, adjust the alignment of a few bits of text, and maybe kind of just make this bigger to fill the space. And I think it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. I like the cutout here. These images kind of cutting out the plate is very creative, and the width around the edge of each looks to be very consistent, so that's nice. Yeah, you could even make some of these pictures a bit bigger, because they do look like good photographs, which is always nice to have. Andrea says this is slaying for a beginner, and that's the thing. There's quite a lot of designs that I review here on these streams, and I do point out a lot of things. I know sometimes I point out a lot of things, and it's because I'm very technical as a designer. I'm really kind of noticing those small details. It's kind of something that really just has always stood out to me. But actually, you can take a design that might perhaps not look great or might look okay, and a lot of the time the idea is great. It's the execution. It just needs these few little tweaks here and there. It's not like a lot of work. I guess it's just having that experience and knowledge to kind of know where to put things or why something might work this way and not another way. Yeah, but oftentimes the idea is great. It's just the execution just needs tightening up. And that's something that I know I say quite a lot, which is good because it's it's nice being able to kind of at least focus on the more technical side of things and then help designers improve on that aspect of their work. Yes, taking new submissions, Andrea. So if you've got some work, send it on over. Ben, Dan, I've submitted the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board Annual Report 23. Wow, that's a mouthful. My company's latest large project. It might be interesting to flip through for a few seconds. It is not eye candy. If you've submitted it now, I'll have it in the files, but I won't open them up right now. But I will definitely have a look at that one later. Right. What is next? Oh, yeah, I saw this one. This is an interesting one. So this is... I'm guessing it's meant to be the CK9 Academy. Because when I first... oh, no. CK9? Yeah, CK9 Academy. So K9 being dog. Oh, this feels really... This is an interesting one. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. So this is the main logo. And then we've got a few different colorways. And we've got the logo mark on its own. I do quite like that single color version. But then there's another version down here. Oh, look at the doggy. Look at the little doggy. Poppy's going to want a dog now. No, I'm just kidding. She already wants a dog. And a baby. So I really love... what they've done is they've showed this this illustration here of how they've tried to take the features of the dog and work it into the logo. I prefer this more. I love this. I absolutely love this on the left. And I'm less crazy about the version on the right. It just... I don't know. Yeah, and I can't tell if that's just... because this is more my style. I like this sort of style. Whereas, like on this one, the tapering here, it gradually does get thinner, but then at this point, around about here, it stops getting thinner and it kind of sort of doesn't really taper off to a point. It kind of maintains a much more consistent width. It feels like the tail end of that tapering is kind of stretched too long. And then here we've got the same width all the way down, but then this one tapers off as it comes in, but this one doesn't. So the K feels, as a letter form, inconsistent. And then this one here, it kind of gets thicker and then stays this thickness. And this is what I was talking about a minute ago when it comes to technical execution. I'm just not loving the curves, you know. This kind of flattens out. Hang on, let me make that smaller. This kind of loops around beautifully here, and instead of continuing that loop like that, you can see it kind of just sort of flattens out a little bit, and it doesn't create a really nice curve. And that then translates to this whole curved section here not feeling as smooth as it could. And then it just... like with the tapering, right? I would expect it to come around and then taper in. And then this one would kind of come around. This is quite good for me on a trackpad. And taper in. Something like this. And it just... yeah, the curves, particularly around this loop, they just don't feel right. And I kind of feel like that throughout all of the letters, actually. I think the widths and the curves in all of the letters, they feel off. Is anyone else getting that? Michael Phelps, hello, late to the party. Hey, better late than never, eh? Welcome. We're looking at CK9. Yeah, so I don't know what you think to that. But then I really like the clean and minimal one. Even here, actually, let me grab this. This is a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about. So the curves on this feel really nice. You could play around with the width. Oh, this isn't a stroke. I'll try and do this, but hold your judgment. Oh, that was... Oh, wait, hang on. I haven't got my smoothing on. Let's turn the smoothing up. Literally a cheat code, this is. Right, let's go all the way out here. So I'm going to try and add... Nope, that was awful. I'm going to try and add a tapering style effect. Oh, my trackpad's too small. Right, let's go around there. Oh, this is awful. Okay, let's just try and fix that. So what I'm trying to demonstrate is that you can have tapering. It's not like everything has to be the same width. Do you see what I mean? Actually, I might even bring that one in. Oh, it's so hard drawing with a tiny trackpad. Yeah, it's not as smooth as I like, but hopefully that kind of illustrates the point that I'm trying to make. So yeah, if you had that as an editable stroke, you could taper this with the width tool much easier. So let me just show you actually. If you've never used the width tool before, oh, prepare to have your mind blown because it's amazing. So let's do that there. If this is an editable stroke, you know, we can grab the width tool and you can kind of thicken this up. And you can use that to create a really nice tapering effect. Much easier than doing it like this. So if you've still got those editable strokes, great. But even with this example here, like hopefully you, this is just messing around, but hopefully you can see the difference. This just kind of has a much smoother loop to it. And the tapering is just... I think when you're doing curves, if you're going to have a curve, you need to kind of maintain the smoothness of the arc. Whereas because it kind of then comes in and it's quite sharp here and flattens out, the rest of the curve, like it's just less likely to follow through with that smoothness. Oh, you feel the same, Andrea? Left version of the dog is more attractive. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that's standing out to me. Is I think as a concept, it's very clever. You know, the way you've got the CK and the 9, I think it's very clever. But again, it comes back to that technical execution. And so because this is a very clever way to make the logo look like the dog, it is very clever, but because the entire logo is made out of 3 letter forms, those letter forms need to be typographically correct. And I'll admit, I'm not a typographer. You know, there's lots of nuances in typography that I wouldn't know about. So if I'm designing a font from scratch, I've got to be very careful that I don't break any rules of typography without even realizing. So that's why it's often quite good to use an existing font and then customize it. So I could, I don't know. One thing you can do is CK9. Wasn't that a band, actually? I swear that was a band from like the 90s or something. Used to be in one of the Tony Hawk's games, I think, the music. Oh, that's my childhood, that is. Skateboarder Dan. Right, where is my lowercase? Oh, I've got cap locks on. Ha, what an idiot. Right. CKY. So yeah, you could convert this to outlines. And I know that this font, Myriad Pro, has been done by a professional typographer. So everything is kind of where it should be from a typographic perspective. It's a well-produced font. So I don't need to worry about a lot. But if I want to kind of go in there and, I don't know, turn this into a dripping letter, then I can go and customize this font. And I know that as long as I don't get too carried away, I'm not messing up anything from a typographic point of view. You see? Whereas if I start kind of, I don't know, shifting letters and extending things, obviously I'm very intentionally breaking those rules. But it's a good place to start. Sometimes you can find a font that's really, really good, and then you customize that, and it just makes it, rather than doing a custom font from scratch, because this is one of the drawbacks. You can have an excellent concept, but if you don't have that experience as a typographer, for example, you are opening yourself up to possibly making mistakes that you might not be aware of, which I guess is kind of like any profession, really. But yeah, if you're enjoying all these tips, by the way, these little kind of things that you can do, and tools and how to create these kinds of shapes, honestly, just give the course a look, check it out, because there's literally hundreds of techniques there that I've learned over the last 17 years. I did things the wrong way for many, many years. I wasted a lot of time, and now you don't have to, because I'll just teach you the correct way from the start. So that is a link to my Adobe Illustrator masterclass. Right, cool. Dog logo done. Let's move on. Ooh, another PDF. All right, let's open this one up. Mike says the black and white version gets the doggo idea across. The K edition loses visual in that negative space, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's clever that they got the K in there, but I think, yeah, without it, it really does. It's a very good mark, isn't it? It's just very simple lines, but it's actually a great representation of a dog. VJ Franz says it's not recognizable as a dog without the pick, and the 9 isn't legible. Oh, unstable. Oh, Jamil. It was your logo. I didn't think that people would see the steps or consider it as another version. Hopefully all of that waffle was helpful anyway. Oh, thank you for sending it in and joining the stream. I love it when people submit designs and then they jump onto the stream. Hopefully all of that was helpful. Yeah, I like the left dog icon shape. That gets my vote. Right, GrabTech Solutions. Okay, initial impressions. Top and bottom, not a fan of. Middle one, as a creative concept, I think works. I'm not sure what these icons are at the bottom. Even as an abstract icon, I'm personally not feeling them. This one in the middle, I think with a bit of refinement, could be pretty cool. It clearly identifiable as a mark. Smooth curves, from what I can see mostly. That blue kind of, let me try and zoom in. I'm in Acrobat now, so it goes a bit weird if I press too many buttons. Yeah, so real minor detail here. That kind of blue thumb overshoots a bit too much. Line that up here with this finger. And the width down here is almost the same. Very slightly off, but just make that width. If you're going to have these kinds of simple shapes, just space them apart equally. They're almost there in this design, but just not quite. So you may as well just kind of make them all there. Yeah, you could go with a flat top, or you could try a rounded version as well, with the fingers rounded. I think having the tops flat does it does sort of fit with the rest of the logo. So you kind of got this flat top here. So you have deliberately round fingers and then kind of curves and flat lines. So it does feel very stylized, and I think it does work there. But that would be my first instinct, is does it still look cool if you have rounded tops, but might not work. Text-wise, yeah, this is something I've seen a lot. I've seen the kind of main logo, and then you've got the word solutions or Media or whatever the company is down there smaller. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it being over there. It feels like it's kind of floating on its own a little bit. So I don't know. It feels, yeah, I feel like the size difference is a bit too much. GrabTech is massive and Solutions is very small off to the right. I don't know. Could you tuck the word Solutions in down here alongside the descender on the G, maybe? Just kind of nestle it in there. Could you even customize that G like we did a minute ago and extend the descender and make it longer? And then you could nestle that word Solutions in there even more, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if that's a bit naughty. Possibly. You could do that possibly. And then you could even have the word GrabTech all in the same font weight and then have Solutions in a different one. So GrabTech, for example, could be in the bolder weight and then this one underneath in the lighter weight. Yeah, just so it kind of, there is a clear separation between the two words, I think. If you wanted to keep it on the right, it's just make sure it's overshooting the right a little bit. Line that up with the right edge of the letter H, I would. Oh, you're welcome, Jamil. Hopefully that was helpful anyway. I wish I could take the course, says Zach. I wish you could too. There is something that actually I was going to ask you. I've been thinking about at the moment. Let me just whip the course up. There's a question that rather than me kind of just trying to second guess it, there's actually a question that I had. So at the moment, you got the full course price. It's $297 in pounds UK, or you can do $99 a month over 3 months. For anyone who's interested in the course but perhaps put off by the price, would the option of paying over a longer period, for example, 12 months, would that be something you would consider, or would the overall price still be something that you're not interested in? I've thought about it, adding another payment option. So it goes down to like, what would it be? Math. It would be like, I don't know, 20, 30 pounds a month. So it brings the cost down, but then you can still access the course and just pay for it over a longer period. So it's something that I was kind of mulling over, but, you know, rather than me just try and second guess it, I thought I would just kind of ask you guys on the stream. So I don't know. What do you think? Because in my head, I was just thinking it's another payment option and a way that perhaps some people might find, you know, more manageable to do it in small chunks. So Andrea says GrabTech Solutions second version, if you ask me. Yeah, I'm specifically drawn to this one. I think maybe because it's called GrabTech as well, and you got the kind of the fist kind of shape, and then I quite like the way the thumb is a different color, very bold blue, and it kind of curls up. Very, very nice. Oh, okay. A lot of positivity on the extra pricing option. Okay, thank you. That's really helpful. I'll give it some thought. Basically, I've spent something like close to 6 months making this course, and I just really want to make it as accessible as possible. You know, I've made this course now, and I want people to enroll so I can teach people what I know. Not just the course, but I love it when people have questions. If someone messages me in the community and says, "Hey, I'm stuck with something," I secretly love it because I like helping people solve problems. So yeah, it's the more students I get, well, it supports me, you know, as an educator financially, but it's nice because I actually love teaching. So it's nice to kind of, yeah, make a living doing something that I actually enjoy. Oh, that's a good point, Mike. Okay, that's really helpful. A 30-year payment plan. 30 years. Oh, hang on. I got to do the math on that, Kai. Right, come on. What do we got? What do we got? We got total price. Hang on, no. 30 years. What's 30 years? 30 times 12 months. 360 months. Okay. So we've got 297 divided by 360 months. Okay, right. So we've got the new 30-year payment plan, 80p a month. Oh, Kai, you crack me up. You crack me up. That's funny. Oh, really, Mushatak? Okay, that's Mushatak. What's your name, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? I can keep calling you Mushatak if you like, but the regulars that jump onto the stream, it's just I like learning names. So if you're comfortable sharing your name, definitely let me know, and I'll make a point of remembering it. Yeah, that's really interesting to know. Michelle, oh, amazing. Well, lovely to meet you, Michelle. Do you plan to teach something other than AI to what about Figma? Yes, I do. So yeah, so at the moment, I think I mentioned on a stream before, I'm actually okay, so I'm overhauling the course page at the moment to do a better job of marketing the course. Marketing is something that I'm definitely not as good at as design. It's definitely one of my weaker things. So I'm working on that. And then I'm launching one-to-one coaching as well. Nice. I see what you did there, Mike. I'm doing one-to-one coaching. So if anyone wants to learn about Figma, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, YouTuber life and lighting, audio, absolutely anything, my skill set is very varied. And so I thought by launching coaching, I can just, jump on and do a one-to-one session with someone, and they can ask me whatever they like, and I can just essentially download my brain into theirs live over what is equivalent to a Zoom call. So I'm quite excited to do that because I did a bit of one-to-one recently, and it was a lot of fun. It's nice kind of having a teaching with a face-to-face interaction. So yeah, coaching is something that I'm definitely looking to do, but also, yeah, I would like to make more courses in the future, because a course is the most efficient way for me to just download all my knowledge and the stuff in my brain that I've obsessively learned over the last 17 years and just strip out all the kind of fat, so to speak, and just trim it down into a way that's just really kind of, bite-sized, essentially. Just cutting out all the fluff and teaching people exactly what you need to know to learn something or to get better. I really love your videos. I hope it expands to other applications too. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Okay. Right, yes, grab tech. So middle one, fist, great, lovely curves, slight adjustments to spacing. Oh, we're getting through them. We're getting through them. I might see my kids tonight. I'm having a healthy roast dinner later on, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Also, for anyone who's just joined, is anybody else reading or has read the book, The 5 a.m. Club? Because I love it and I think it's amazing, and I need to find someone else who's experienced reading it. Love this. You can create this in Illustrator, actually. If I had to guess, I would say that this was done with Illustrator, but I couldn't tell you 100%. Oh, this is your one, Zach. I did wonder. I've got a few designs with Zach on the file name. Yeah, Zach. I love this. I really absolutely love this. This is probably one of my favorite things that you've done, actually. It's just so cool. It's really, really cool. Yeah, and this is where this is a really good example of where Illustrator's 3D features are very useful. The newer 3D features, they do have their limitations in the sense that the limits of those features are what you can do with the slider. If you can't get the 3D effect you need with the sliders, you're kind of stuck. It's very difficult to expand it and then work on it in the same way that you can with the classic 3D. But then the classic 3D feature doesn't have ray tracing and look as nice as this one. So, but if you've got a graphic like this and you want to turn it 3D quickly and make it look good, then something like this, the 3D features are great. And I mean, it looks awesome. I love it. Nice little representation of a Switch, isn't it? Yeah, a Switch. I found my Switch the other day. I bought a Nintendo Switch about 2 or 3 years ago and like totally lost it. I don't know how you lose it, a games console, but I did. And I actually found it in the loft, or as my American friends say, an attic. Yes, we call it a loft in the UK. I don't know why. But yeah, found it tucked away in a suitcase. Who knows why? But yeah, Zach, absolutely love that. Especially love this beveling as well. With 3D, it's very easy sometimes to leave off the beveling, and the edges end up looking unnaturally hard. You know, things in the real world aren't that sharp. You wouldn't have a really sharp edge to a lot of things. You know, even if you zoom in with your eye really close and look at something up close, it's got some slight beveling. Unless it's a sword. Then the blade of a sword does absolutely not have beveling on it, unless it's blunt. But most objects, they have that beveling. So to see it kind of on there, it just makes everything look just more realistic. Even though this is stylized, it helps it look more realistic. Especially when doing other kind of 3D work as well. Anyway, love that. Let's move on. What have we got? Guidelines. Ahmed Hassan. Okay. As a big gamer on the Switch, I love this. Oh, nice. I play my Switch sometimes. I'll be honest, it's mostly for Zelda or Pokemon. I've not played it for a while now. My son's just started playing because he got one for his birthday. He started playing what is it? Animal Crossing, and he absolutely loves it. I'm more of a PlayStation man myself. Not reading the 5 a.m. club. My free time only allows me to watch Andrew Huberman telling me to do things like waking up early to maximize life. Yeah, literally. Mike, that's what I've been doing for the last couple days. Waking up at 5 a.m. And it's only been 2 days, but I suspect it's going to be life-changing because the impact that it's had on my productivity just by getting up that early. As someone who normally, I'm not good in the mornings normally. I'm not a morning person, but getting up in the morning at 5 a.m. now, it's been incredible. So yeah, I've not seen a lot of Andrew Huberman stuff, but I'm guessing he's saying something similar. Get up early and just, absolutely crush everything first thing in the morning. And like you say, maximize life. Ha! Chef's kiss from Kai. Yeah, very good. That would be a great animation. If you could take that illustration and pop it into, you can go from Illustrator, you can save your Illustrator file as a .ai and drop it into After Effects. You could make those buttons make clicking sounds and animations. That'd be quite cool. Oh, welcome back, Popinder. I have a large Zelda obsession. I've not played the latest one. I played the first one. Was it Breath of the Wild? Obviously not the first one, but you know what I mean. I've not played Tears of the Kingdom yet. Yeah, Poppy likes Animal Crossing. Yeah, Mike, my bedtime's normally awful. I get distracted working, like planning videos. I get all sorts of ideas in the evening. And I have a feeling that it will shift my bedtime um, earlier, because otherwise my body will just give up. Like there's no way that I can get up at 5 a.m. and stay up till like 1 in the morning. I don't think my body would be able to cope with that. It just shut down. Anyway, Spa Way, words I can't read. So this one's an interesting one because the logo, initial impressions, the logo is just too complicated. There's way too much going on. And if I scan down here, what do we got? We've got a $sign and the first letter of the word spa. So the company is Spa Way. So they've kind of mixed a $sign with like an S and that shape to create a $sign. Okay. First letter of way is W, which is clearly, even though it's stylized, it's in a different font. This kind of embodies the characteristics of a serif font with the serifs on top, and this is more kind of clean sans serif. So already we've got a bit of a problem going on. Different ways to reach your goals. Really like that. Negative space gives down arrows representing expenses. Reduction. Right, which I think relates to the business. Let me just see if there's another image that I'm supposed to be looking at. No, there isn't. Okay. And then the rising arrows representing savings increase. Okay, so as you've probably seen with other logos, sometimes there's 2 or 3 elements to a logo and there'll be kind of reasoning as to why they're there. And this has 5. So initial impressions, there's just too much going on. Way too much going on. I would focus on one of these personally. If I had to just pull a design out of thin air and just do something really, really quick with very minimal thought whatsoever, I would do something like that. You could play around with the font all day long, but I think having a simpler identifiable mark is more impactful than trying to cram everything that your business does and all of the letters into a design. So I think the first thing to do here is, if you wanted to review this design, I would focus on 1 or 2 of these elements. So you could, maybe you want to combine the S and the W into a monogram. Maybe you wanted to just have these kind of this representation of reaching your goals. Maybe you wanted to focus on the arrow, or you could combine this one here. And then you could combine this with an arrow. So you could add an arrow on top, or each of these could have an arrow. Something that represents what the business is about. I think trying to combine the S and the W and the ways to reach your goals, and we can also increase your savings. It's just, there's too much going on. I kind of admire it, to be honest. It's very there's definitely too much going on, but I like the way that they've thought about it and they've tried to combine it all together. And the shadows, they do look cool, but just consider this as a 1-color print. Like if I were to take this logo now, right? Let's see if I can do this. What we're going to do. So we'll strip out the color and then we'll crank that contrast. You see what we're getting with a 1-color print? It's very difficult to identify different parts of the logo. So I think that's something that is definitely worth considering. Whereas if I did this with the other one, let's do the levels. You can see this one here, even though I just kind of threw that together in 5 seconds, it works as a the mark like actually works and it doesn't just combine too many elements together. There are ways around this. If you wanted to kind of have it like this, you could add I think we covered this before actually. So you could kind of, oh no, let's use white. So you can do, obviously do it properly, don't use the brush tool like this, but you can add that sort of cutaway style as a way to bring out details that are overlapping if you really wanted to do that. But personally, I wouldn't do it. I would, like I say, focus on one or maybe two elements that represent the brand the best rather than kind of trying to combine everything into one. I've managed to stay awake today. Well done, Poppy. Assuming Dan is flipping lights on, flushing toilets, and creaking around the house, pulling you into the 5 a.m. waking world, like it or not. Exactly, Mike. Yes. We're doing it together. I've always been an early bird, so not finding it too hard. No, actually, no. Poppy, you're much better than me. You are better at getting up in the morning. I'm awful. I spent most of my life staying up late, and I spent many, many years when I was younger. I'd be up till goodness knows what time, learning Photoshop or Illustrator, or just like I've always loved learning. So I'm always trying to learn something. And unfortunately, that does keep me up quite late. So, but yeah, no, we're doing it together. The difference is, and I was saying this morning, is that I've been reading the book. So I've kind of got the reasoning behind why we're doing it. But Poppy hasn't read it yet. So I'll be curious to see if she reads it, how she finds it. I'm just kind of like, every time I read something, I'm reading out these like profound quotes. I like walk into the room, I'll just read a quote from the book that I think is especially cool, and then I'll just kind of disappear back into the other room. He's very noisy. I keep having to remind him to be quiet so he doesn't wake up the kids. Look, I don't walk around the house in the morning trying to wake up the nightmares. I like the nightmares. My lovely, lovely children, I like the nightmares to stay asleep as well. Nobody wants to wake the kids up in the morning. Other than that, design is creative and beautiful. The black version is fine. If the dollar sign is green, it is perfect. Little nightmares. Exactly, Mike. Love them to bits. But my goodness. Oh, sometimes they are little nightmares. Right, I'm going to do two more. These were meant to be on last week's, but I didn't get around to them. And so we're going to cover them today. Where flavor meets fun. Nice. I like it already. Oh, sip and dip. Okay, so yeah, this is interesting actually, because this kind of leans into what I was talking about earlier, in that normally I tend to focus on clean curves and this and that, but this logo actually is very illustrative. So if I kind of zoom in here, you can see a lot of the edges here. They're not perfect smooth curves, especially the eye. It looks all kind of gooey and delicious. It's almost like you got a little face in there. Hello. Stop it down. Yeah, like here, this isn't consistent, the width, but it almost doesn't matter because it feels intentional. Even this eye over here is a different size entirely, and the highlight's in a different place. I mean, should the highlight be in a different place? Probably not, but it feels a little bit more intentional. Whereas I think if the lines were all kind of, in this example, were all straight cut and perfectly clean, I don't know, I feel like it would lose a little bit of its character. And I don't know what this business is about, but I think because it's got the word sip and dip, it makes me think that it's something I'm going to put in my mouth, whether it's a drink or a dip or a food or something related to num 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 num. So I think the fact that the letters kind of, I guess, reflect the physical form of a liquidy dip or sauce or something like that, I feel like maybe that's a reason why I'm kind of not being too particular about the lines. Does that make sense? Like it feels like the letters are embodying the characteristics of a dip, I think is what I'm trying to say. I think I'm less crazy about this one, if I'm honest. I like the kind of the way that you've got the full version and then you've got the condensed kind of mark with just the letters. We've seen a few people do that before. I don't think this implementation here is the strongest. Might just be a size thing. I don't know. Yeah, it could just be a size thing, or maybe there's a little bit too much overlap of the S and the D going on. I'm not sure. Something's kind of standing out to me and going, not sure about that. Yeah. Not 100% on the where flavor meets fun kind of the way it feels like this is kind of arching a lot more than the bottom one. And it doesn't really feel balanced. It feels like if I just grab the top one. You remember before when I've talked about kind of all of the different elements of a design, like considering the relationship of one thing to another. So things that are in close proximity to one another, it's important to consider those relationships. So when I'm looking at this text up here and down here, right? I'm looking at, okay, well, what's it near? What's it near to in the design and how's that working? Well, clearly it's arcing around the letter N. So I'm looking at this text top and bottom and I'm looking at the N. First thing I'm noticing is this left edge is a lot closer. This one's further away. So my initial kind of instinct is, well, you know, we need to move the text ever so slightly to the left. Just so it kind of, the spacing feels a bit more balanced. And then over here again as well, because this part of the N drops down lower, it feels really close. And then there feels like there's a big gap here. So there's something that isn't quite working. And if I do rotate that now to try and compensate for that, it doesn't really match up with the top. Like if I just draw a line straight down, or sorry, no, straight through the actually, no, a better way to do this is if I take this, just trying to think how to show this. If I rotate it 180 degrees, there you go. So I've rotated it round and I'm going to bring that down. It kind of, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's pointing in the right direction almost. It feels off. Like they're not sort of pointing at each other, which considering the letter N would be quite important. So I don't know. I kind of feel like if I had to go with a tagline, you've got this one, which is with the fun. I quite like that with the playful letters. Or you could do where flavor meets fun and have the text running under there and have that as kind of not an obvious smiley face, but something like that. And it could probably be quite sort of tight to it as well, so it wouldn't come too low. Or maybe keep the kind of where flavor meets fun, but I don't know, pick a different font, or maybe do something similar to this so it kind of fits with the logo a bit more. I don't know. It feels a bit off. It doesn't feel like perhaps the right font choice or the positioning and the relationship to that from that tagline to the actual logo itself. It just feels a little bit off. It feels very 90s. Have a drink, then go swimming. Sip and dip. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking of like a delicious dip or something. Lots of lifeguards, yeah. Booze plus swimming. Good idea. Oh, Andrea likes the colours. Okay. Yeah, I've got to agree. The colours are very nice. Let's have a little look in the old colour picker. That orange is very close to my Dansky brand. So I think I'm probably biased there. FF412D. Yeah, quite close. But the N. Oh wow, that's all the way in the top right corner. Oof, punchy. Yeah, and then the D they've set back. I'd probably do that with the N as well. I'd probably just slide that to the left a pinch. Yeah, no, it looks good. Color scheme down here. Bebas. Modestic Sans. Modestic. A font I do not have. Yeah, I do like the main body of the sip and dip. It's not really my sort of style of logo that I would necessarily do. It definitely feels a bit more playful. Yeah, I feel like this style. Have you seen the YouTuber Abby Connick? She does a lot of logo and branding videos. And some of the logos that I've seen her design, they feel very playful and kind of more hand-drawn, handcrafted. And it kind of reminds me of her style a little bit. That sort of more organic shapes and encapsulating like a bit more personality and a bit more fun into the letters. Yeah, so we've got a few different colorways. Not the blue. Not feeling the blue. Stick with the warmer colors. Oh, Max Art says love Abby. Yeah, no, she does great videos as well. Her YouTube shorts are really funny as well. She definitely gets what it means to be a designer. Let's just put it that way. Feels like two separate circles of different sizes. Yes, it's just something about that is slightly off. Yeah. It always kind of helps as well sometimes when balancing if the words are the same length. So when you've got one that is longer than the other, I know as a designer, sometimes you can't always change the wording. If the client has a tagline, you can't just say, oh, could we just change your tagline just for this design, just so it kind of fits with my creative vision? I know you can't really do that. Sometimes you can if it's a title for something, but if it's like branding stuff, sometimes you got to work with what you got to work with. So, Did you know Blender? Yes, I know a little bit of Blender. Blender is a lot of fun. Oh yeah, Michelle. Yeah, no, she does have great content. Might be able to say flavor meets fun. Ah, yes. Da, 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 da. Flavor. I see what you've done there. Not that. I can't spell. I can't speak and I can't spell. What am I good for? So flavor meets fun. Yeah, that's got a little bit more balance to it, I suppose. If you were to kind of arc one and then the other. Yeah, so you could do that. Again, it depends if they would be happy with that. I suppose if you were doing a rebrand, you could pitch them a slightly reworded tagline, perhaps, and cross your fingers and hope they say yes. But yeah, it's a good design. It's got a lot of personality. I think just a few kind of tweaks here and there, just to a few bits. But the main kind of core of the logo, it encapsulates, like, it's got lots of personality. And I mean, I still have no idea what it's about, actually. So I've just assumed it's food. So I'm going to go with food. But I don't know. It could be swimming. It could be something. I'm not really sure. Right, let's do one more. And then I'm going to see my children. Maybe. I might just stay here at the office where it's safe from the little nightmares. Ah, missing fonts. Oh no, I've got to do this in Photoshop because the fonts in this are just they're just lush. This is another one from last week that I didn't get time to review, so let's open this up now. Also, if you have joined recently, submissions are now open. They will be open for the next 7 days. There's a link to upload your designs, PSDs, PNGs, JPEGs, Illustrator files, whatever you like. Upload them to Dropbox there, and there is a chance that I will be able to review them next week onwards. Right, let's flatten that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is cute. I like this. The baby donkey Flimsy. Oh, Flimsy. Okay, first impressions. This donkey does not look like a Flimsy. Like, he looks like he is ready to kick your ass. Does he not? Look at... Look at... Is that a donkey or a unicorn? He looks like he's ready to dish out some damage. Is that just me? Like, I don't want to mess with Flimsy. But in terms of the style, like I think the expression on his eye could be. I think the eye is actually quite important when illustrating, and I think that sloping down of the eye can, like with the Raccoon logo, it can look quite menacing. So I don't know. I'm not like I said, a massive illustrator, but I wonder if we can just change that slope a little bit. And oh, it's made it a bit more neutral there, like a bit more. I don't know, yeah. I do wonder, yeah, maybe a slight rework on the eye. But focusing on the whole thing as a whole, it's just oozing personality. It's a lovely use of different fonts. I've got this one here. I don't know what font this is. It's delicious though. Got the same one here. It's kind of rounded and condensed. Again, I don't know if this font came with these kind of wibbly, imperfect edges, which again have a lot of character, or you could take an existing font with rounded corners and then you could make those edges slightly more wavy in Illustrator. So again, we're leaning into that technique of I'm going to take the font created by a lettering professional and then I'm just going to give it a bit more character and roughen up the edges and add a bit more texture my end, rather than trying to create this kind of font from scratch. But yeah, I love the use of different fonts. This one here has got like a nice drop shadow effect, and you've got this, the character in the letters is kind of, I guess you could say, Flimsy, which is the name of the donkey unicorn. I mean, it says donkey, but that's kind of like a unicorn or a party hat. I don't know. Maybe he's got a party hat on. I don't know. But I love all these kind of little accents, these little kind of smooth curves and swirls in the heart. These lines, yeah, really nice sort of illustrative style. Yeah, they've kind of gone for a, is it, I'm not sure how you say it, stippling, the stippling effect, where you kind of get that on the letters. It looks like they've used an image and live traced it here. You don't get the best effect with live trace, unfortunately, unless you use settings that can give you like a really granular effect, because it can look a bit kind of less of like, it looks less grain like and like actual stippling, and it looks more, I mean, you can just tell live trace, it kind of creates all these sort of interconnected shapes, and Yeah. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It adds it in a few key places, but there are other ways to create that kind of effect. I love the sort of the material papery texture coming through. That's really nice as well. In fact, that's applied to everything. And yeah, the sparkles seem to be sideways. Poppy says that's a unicorn. Well, then why is it called a donkey? Powerpuff Donkey. Yeah, literally, yeah. He's going to poop on you or back kick you if you mess with him. Look, I'll be honest, Mike. It's not the kind of animal that it doesn't invite me to go and pet it, you know, and give him a little chin scratch. I think he would probably mess me up. Yeah. I love the grass texture. That's got to have been a brush or something. But grass texture all the way on the bottom. We've got a sparkle that's gone very, very low, which seems a bit odd, but, you know, whatever. But I love how that kind of main prominent texture has been carried through everything. I need to do more of this, mixing my kind of Illustrator stuff with more like organic textures and things. That would be really cool to do some more of that. Smith. Hello. I can't speak today. The baby donkey has one horn. It's amazing. Did you like that, Andrea? Yeah. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just intimidated by Flimsy the donkey or Flimsy the unicorn, whatever he's supposed to be. I quite like the Powerpuff donkey analogy. I reckon this fella's got some kind of secret power. I still don't know why he's got a horn. He's a donkey. Unless this is like the story of Flimsy who thought he was a donkey and then realized at the end of the story he was a unicorn. I don't know. Another one where we need to know the intent business type to understand the feeling. If this should be all ragey or cutesy. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, Mike. I feel like with the illustrative style, it's meant to be cutesy and fun, but I don't know. I'm not sure what this is. If it's a book, I mean, it makes me think of like storybook, you know. I don't know. Do donkeys have horns? No, I don't think they do. Yeah, the font colors are lovely. In fact, the yellow and the orange is basically what we had on the Sip and Dip logo a minute ago. Very, very similar. But yeah, those two colors mixed with this kind of teal turquoise color. We're not too far away from the primary colors, you know, yellow, red, and blue. So yeah, I know we've got a few other colors in here. I don't really like these other colors, to be honest. You got the really dark blue, the grey, and the dark red. I don't like all of those. I would keep it to a more specific color palette, like we had with our enthusiastic illustration friend. You know, the guy that was like, "Hey!" I feel like that had those three kind of main key colors, and I feel like the yellow, orange, and the blue, they could be the prominent colors here throughout the entire illustration, and then just have the black in there as kind of an exception. And then lose the leaves, get rid of the leaves, and then just kind of have it as a, I don't know, a more specific palette, I think would look really nice. Yeah, those little details out there are probably my least favorite part of this illustration, if I'm honest. Face it, it's a donkey corn. Ah! See what you did there, Mike. Very clever. Donny corn. That's funny. An aggressive baby shower invite. Very cute but vicious. Perfect baby vibes. Yeah, babies are quite vicious, aren't they? But yeah, lovely style, and I think just a few tweaks to the that's what I would say. Just a few tweaks to the expression, just to make it look a little bit more cute and fun. Very much like the kind of the typography in the design does look very cute and fun, and the illustrative style is very cute and fun. Just that, and then maybe lose some of these dark blue, greys, and dark reds. Just get rid of them and keep that palette just a little bit leaner and a bit more fun. But yeah, really, really cute. Right, I'm just gonna throw the right. We've got two things actually. Copy link. So if you'd like to submit your design work for review next week, the week after that, there is a link. Upload your files: PSD, JPEG, PNG, or Adobe Illustrator files. And if you'd like to learn everything that I know about Adobe Illustrator, that I've learned over the last 17 years, I've downloaded my entire Illustrator brain finally into a course, and you can sign up here if you're interested. And if you do enroll, you have access to the community and basically me on speed dial. You can DM me anytime in the community and I'll respond to any questions you have, or if you like getting feedback like we do in these streams, once you're enrolled in the course, you basically get that 24/7, like whenever you would like some feedback on any of your designs. So if you enjoy feedback and you find it useful getting it in these streams, then you basically have access to that whenever. That's kind of part of the course as well. So yeah, and I'll definitely look into adding an extra payment option as well, just because if it makes it more accessible for people, then you know, it's a win-win for everyone, really. But yeah, I've had a ton of fun today. This has been really good. Hopefully you've enjoyed today as well. I think we've covered quite a lot, actually. We've definitely covered more than we normally do. Bit of a slow start, but then I gathered some momentum, and God, I've still got coffee left. God, I really am drinking this slowly. Right, before I rush off to my nightmares, does anyone have any questions or anything for me about design? If you do, fire away, and I'll just take a few questions, and then I need to go and see my kids. Yeah, what I'll do, Sema, is I'll do a community post in a minute. Actually, I'll do that now. And then it's done, isn't it? I'll post the link on the community tab. Submit your design work here for a chance to have it reviewed. Submit your design work here for a chance to have it reviewed live. Let's throw a little emoji on there as well. There we go, party emoji. Right, there we go. That's on the community tab on the channel, Sema. So if anyone needs the link. Is this every Tuesday? Yes, unless something crazy happens or, parenting pulls rank. We typically do design review on a Tuesday, just like this. And then Thursday is usually more of me designing. So I'll try and find something I'm working on, or last week we did a bit of illustration stuff that I'm actually doing for something. So it's kind of more of me designing and doing my thing and just hanging out and having fun. And then yeah, Tuesday is the review day. Dan, I would like to know, do you speak to your students in the course? So the course is pre-recorded. It's about 5 to 6 hours of pre-recorded lessons that you can follow. But if you do have any questions or something, you'd like more of an explanation, or you'd like you have a design question, or you'd like feedback on your work, then there's a separate private community where all of the students who are enrolled can chat, ask questions, post, whatever it is, or you can message me directly through there as well. So I guess the short answer to your question is the course is pre-recorded, but anyone who enrolls, I will probably speak to you, yes, if you have any questions. Isn't the coffee cold after 2 hours? Yes, it is. I know. I'm one of those people that if the coffee's gone cold, I'll still drink it. Poppy is disgusted by this, but I don't care. It's my body and I'll fill it with cold coffee if I like. Ha! Even though I will agree it's a little bit, it's not the nicest. Oh, you're welcome, Sema. Thank you so much. Cheers, Rebecca. Yes, Poppy, roast dinner time. Roast dinner time indeed. Cool. Right. I've had a ton of fun. I'm going to jump off now. So thank you very much to everyone for joining the stream and for everyone who submitted work. I can't wait to see what everyone submits now. Yeah, that's going to be fun. So if you do submit something, firstly, thank you. I'm going to have a look at those later and just see what's coming through. But about to go and blow up my computer with displacement mats. Nice. I will this time. Yes, please do. Yeah, cheers, guys. Dilshan, Mike, thank you very much. Yeah, have a fantastic day, everyone. Oh, Popinder, 99 pence with a cherry pie emoji. Nice. Have some pie. Thank you, Poppy. That's very kind of you. Oh, cheers, Andrea. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch you all later. And yeah, until next time, have a fantastic week. See ya.